All right, so have you ever wondered like how easy it is to maybe uh fall for propaganda?
It's a question we should all be asking ourselves, right? I mean, it's kind of human nature to just accept what we hear sometimes.
Right. It's uncomfortable, but that's why we're doing this deep dive today, right?
Okay.
To maybe get a little uncomfortable. So
Exactly.
we're calling this one the Tulsi Litmus test, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Based on this document we found. And it's basically looking at how folks see Tulsi Gabbard,
Oh, yeah.
you know, former congresswoman, ran for president,
Yeah.
to see if they're like just accepting what they hear or actually like thinking for themselves critically.
It's a clever approach, really, because it takes two very specific accusations against her
Yeah.
that are pretty demonstrably false.
Okay.
And if people still believe him despite the evidence, well, that tells us something
Right.
about how they're forming their opinion.
So to be clear, accusation number one,
Hmm.
Tulsi is a puppet of Putin.
Right out the gate.
Now, just some context. Gabbard served in the U.S. military. She's been pretty consistently critical of Putin's actions,
Yeah.
including, the whole Ukraine thing.
Yeah. Look, if she were some kind of Russian agent,
Right.
that'd be a very bad career move, to say the least.
Yeah.
The fact that she's continued to serve in government,
Yeah.
speak her mind freely, I mean, it kind of throws a wrench in that whole theory.
It's almost like if there was any proof, we would have heard it by now.
Right.
Okay. But then there's smear number two.
Yeah.
Tulsi praises Assad of Syria.
This one stems from a trip Gabbard took to Syria during the civil war there.
Right.
It was framed as a fact-finding mission, trying to understand the situation.
Okay.
But some folks took her meeting with Assad as like an endorsement of his regime.
Which is interesting because meeting with someone doesn't automatically mean you agree with them.
No, of course not.
Right. Diplomats, they got to meet with all sorts of unsavory characters all the time
Right.
to try and, negotiate or keep the peace or whatever.
Exactly. Imagine if we said Nixon endorsed communism just because he met with Mao Zedong.
Right, right.
It doesn't track logically.
It doesn't follow.
But, and this is what's fascinating,
Yeah.
these accusations against Gabbard, they keep popping up,
They do.
even though they've been debunked so many times.
So why do they stick around? I mean, it's not like just random gossip, right?
No, it's
It is
definitely
happening.
not. There's a purpose.
There is. This is where we get into manufactured narratives.
Okay.
Basically, stories that are created and spread on purpose
Okay.
to shape how the public thinks.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're based on a little bit of truth, but a lot of times they're completely made up.
Okay. So let me ask you, and be honest, dear listener, because we're all friends here.
Right?
Have you ever heard these things about Tulsi Gabbard?
Yeah.
And did you just take them at face value, or did you actually dig a little deeper? Because that's what this.
Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about Tulsi Gabbard because apparently we have to. I call it the Tulsi Litmus test. She's not just a politician, she's a pop quiz for your brain. And the question is simple. Can you form your own opinion, or are you outsourcing it to Rachel Maddow or Hillary Clinton? See, here's the test. If somebody says Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian puppet, congratulations. You've just identified yourself as someone who failed hard. I mean, how do you even come to that conclusion? She's literally serving in the US military right now. If she's working for Putin, she's doing the worst undercover job in history. Like even the undercover boss guy would be like, yeah, this is too obvious. And the other big smear, Tulsi loves Assad. Oh, sure. That's why she's been so critical of him, because nothing screams love like your human rights record is terrible. But hey, Nuance isn't even really the media's thing these days, is it? No. They're more like into coloring books. Good guys wear capes. Bad guys wear turbans or red hats. Let's be honest. Tulsi, in a world that made sense, would be seen as the American dream on steroids. A decorated combat veteran, a former congresswoman, someone who says, hey, maybe we should stop invading other countries just because they don't have a Starbucks. She's what Captain America would be if Marvel wasn't owned by Disney. But no, she challenges the system. so she's labeled a traitor. It's like saying Batman is pro-crime because he refuses to nuke Gotham just to get rid of the Joker. Think about it. Tulsi's entire political career is about standing up for the little guy. She's against regime change wars because, surprise, those wars don't help the little guy. They don't even help the medium guy. They help the Raytheon guy. But if you point that out, the establishment treats you like you just walked into a 12-step meeting, cracking a beer. The whole point of propaganda against Tulsi is to scare people into staying in their mental safe space. You know, where they think America's foreign policy is all about spreading democracy and it's not about oil pipelines. And the media is happy to play along because smearing Tulsi is good for business. Every time they call her an Assad apologist, they get a spike in clicks. It's like Shark Week, but for neoliberals and establishment hacks. And you know who really hates her? The military-industrial complex. Oh, they can't stand Tulsi because endless wars are their bread and butter. Tulsi's over here saying maybe we shouldn't invade countries just to keep defense contractors and gold watches. And they're like, how dare she suggest we stop profiting off bloodshed? What is she, un-American? Here's the thing. Whether or not you agree with her policies, you have to admit she's consistent. She's brave. She's principled. She's not afraid to call out the emperor when he's got no clothes. And let's face it, the emperor's been streaking for decades. But instead of respecting that, the media turn her into some cartoon villain, like the evil twin of Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman fights for truth. Tulsi fights for Moscow? Give me a break. The Tulsi litmus test works because the attacks on her are so obviously ridiculous. It's not about agreeing with her on everything. It's about recognizing that the establishment hates her because she actually walks the walk. And that's rare in politics. Most politicians say, I'm fighting for the little guy, and then they go fight for a bigger vacation home. And look, Tulsi isn't perfect. She's a politician, not a saint. But the fact that the establishment hates her so much tells you something. They don't smear people for being wrong. They smear people for being right and for refusing to play the game. That's why the Tulsi litmus test works. It reveals who's awake and who's just sleep tweeting from inside the matrix. And look, you don't have to love Tulsi to admit this, but if you don't pass the Tulsi litmus test, maybe you should stop letting Anderson Cooper or The View do your thinking for you. So let's be honest. If you believe Tulsi Gabbard is the bad guy, the propaganda is working, and you're the one who got played. My name's Tom Coffey. This is the Coffee and Nuance Show. Most ignored, censored commentary news show live right now. Flame on. Oh yeah, bit of some technical difficulties today. As soon as I was going live, it just crashed. Don't know if it's on my end or their end or what, but yeah. But that's not going to stop me from talking about the Tulsi litmus test. And the reason I came up with this is because the propaganda against her is so obviously bullshit. It's so obviously fake that any kind of questioning would just get rid of all of it. And I think in a fair world, she would be seen literally as a superhero, someone they'd be making movies about. However, she rose to prominence being against the DNC, right? And against regime change wars. And this is what it gets you. It gets you all of this hate, all of these lies, and it's frankly out of control this week now that she has been nominated for the Director of National Intelligence. So they're all going crazy. They all got to try all of these smears. And I hope that the people that are watching this understand the smears that have been done to Tulsi Gabbard. But if not, I'll run through them real quick. But more importantly, this is something that you can use in your life. You can ask somebody their opinion on Tulsi Gabbard. And if they spout this nonsense, congratulations, you've just figured out that they're not a serious person in politics. And they've either bought the propaganda or they're actively pushing it. Either way, not good. It's not good. So let me talk about this idea a little more. So this is a way that you can gauge someone's susceptibility to propaganda. Okay, there's lots of propaganda out there. And how do we know if someone is a victim of this? Well, probably most people are, right? We all kind of fall for some propaganda. However, analyzing their opinion of Tulsi Gabbard, decorated military veteran, former congresswoman, she advocates for peace, opposes regime change wars, and challenges establishment narratives. Now, despite all of these qualities, she's often portrayed in the media as a Russian asset or an Assad apologist. These claims are not only false, but they highlight the length to which the establishment and its allies will go to discredit dissenting voices. That's what this is about. So this is a litmus test, and if you're familiar with the term litmus test, right? Originally, there's a litmus paper, and you can test a chemical reaction, right, to find out how acidic it is. Right? It's basic, right? But it's also used to describe a situation. You can on how you can use that as a sign about figuring out what people believe in certain things. So something can be a litmus test. And that expression is used a lot. And now I'm using it, and I'm calling it the Tulsi litmus test. And the reason that the Tulsi litmus test works is because the attacks on Tulsi Gabbard are clearly rooted in propaganda. If someone believes the smears, I think it's fair to say that it suggests they've been influenced by mainstream corporate establishment narratives rather than forming their own opinion based on facts. Because if you were to base your opinion on facts, you would not believe that she's a Putin puppet or, a toady for Assad. You wouldn't think that. You couldn't think that if you were looking at the facts. So this test isn't about agreeing with Tulsi. So you don't have to agree with Tulsi on everything. I know some people, you may not like her stance on what's happening in Gaza. You may not like how she defines woke or whatever. I mean, there are some things that you can disagree with her on. Okay. So this has nothing to do with disagreeing with her. This has to do with whether or not you recognize that all of the smears about her are bullshit. All of them are. And this is about recognizing how propaganda works. It marginalizes those that threaten the entrenched power structures. Okay. And that's why I use Tulsi Gabbard as a litmus test for how you understand reality. Okay. Because if you buy these smears, you'll buy anything, because these are the clearest bullshit smears I've seen. Even just yesterday, I saw Lizzie Warren was talking about how could you let her in charge of our secrets? She'll just pass them on to Putin. That kind of BS. I can't wait for her to get in charge of these things and start investigating those that are spreading all of these smears about her. I know AOC said that this was the most outrageous thing that, and AOC also made the claim on the Joy Reid show, who the hell watches that crap, that Tulsi is not anti-war. Okay. They're getting desperate, folks. I expect politicians to lie. I expect the people on TV to lie. But whether or not we believe them, that's the thing. And in this case, you can use this as a litmus test on your friends and family or anyone you know. Ask them what they think of Tulsi. And if they repeat one of these obvious propaganda lies, smears about her, I think it's fair to conclude that that person is a sucker, is a rube, and just believes whatever the establishment throws out there. So that's what I'm calling this, the Tulsi Litmus Test. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I'll be going through all those comments in the after show. Disappointed that I couldn't get this going live at the top of the hour, so we might not have as many people here today. I tried, and obviously the equipment failed me. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you all have a lovely weekend, and I'll be back on Monday. I'll see you in the after show. Peace. Well, not a lot of feedback today. I guess that's what happens when your show starts 15 minutes late. Oh my goodness. Well, I made it. Yeah. Can I get a coconut update? Yeah, she's sleeping right in the middle of the living room. Chewed up a little cardboard I had I guess not put out for the recycling today. So that have to clean that up. Anyway. Lucid says, I like Tulsi and she's easy on the eyes. That's true. And that's the thing, is if she weren't going against the military-industrial complex, right? If she weren't against those that were funding it, she would be a superhero. You would think she would be an icon in this country. But you go against the DNC, you go against the Clintons, you go against the military-industrial complex, and this is what you get. You get smears, and the smears are obvious, and they're obviously BS. This election, according to Lucid, has really brought the crazies to the light. Yes, indeed it has. Yeah, that's about it. Man, that's about it. We didn't get as many people checking in and saying hi. I get it. Hi, everybody. But that's oh my. Let's see, did it crash? There we go. Anyway, that's the idea. Try it out this weekend. Ask somebody what they think of Tulsi. And because these smears are just insane. And so yeah, I think it's a good litmus test. Let me know what you think about it. And if you are able to use this, let me know in the future. I'd appreciate that. I thought this was kind of an interesting idea. Maybe nobody else in the world does, but anyway, that's it. Hope you all have a beautiful weekend. Until next time, peace. Later, Lucy. See you, Rev. Peace.